again, it's parts and labor, and that parts and labor is at our factory. It does not include going to the site and removing that part and repairing and getting it repaired and then putting it back in. We do have 90 days on site after the siren system's accepted, which was the end of March. So we have 90 days that labor is going to be covered on that parts also. So I think that from that standpoint, the issue needs to be how are we going to maintain, who's going to go out and take the responsibility to take those parts out. You can call Federal Signal and we will arrange to do this on a fee basis, or you can hire a local contractor, which would be more expeditious because local people are going to get in a lot faster than we might. So that's where I'm coming from at this point, if anyone has any further questions.
Let me just ask you, there was a statement made that there was a 5-year warranty on the sirens and stuff like that. Was that an accurate statement?
There is a 5-year warranty on the 2001 rotating siren that lasts 30 or 40 that you purchase. Okay. That's for the siren motor and the siren head on top of the pole.
The motor and the head only?
That's correct.
Okay.
2 years on everything else.
Okay. Are we approaching the end of the 2 years on the first 10 that we purchased?
We should be close because those were put in January of 08.
All right.
So let me ask, how many do we have with the 5-year warranty at this point? Do you have that number?
30 of them? 2001. So we have about 30 of them.
30.
That's correct.
Well, the only other question I have is, at this particular point, so it's your recommendation that we do continue to have some type of maintenance on them based on the fact that...
I wouldn't say maintenance, I would say service, because what would happen at this point is, let's say that a component went out on one of the boards, a fuse blew or something. Someone's got it. We do not cover going out to that site, so you need to pay someone to go out to that site, check and find out what the problem is, and then replace the defective part. The defective part is covered, and any repair to that part is covered. But the travel to and from the site is not covered.
Okay, I'd like to hear from Director Lewis now about this.
And I concur with Mr. Plant. Basically, the maintenance of the sirens in the areas can be done by a maintenance department. That could be something that they could do. And basically, that only requires cutting grass and things of that nature. But I agree that we do need some type of service agreement. And my recommendation basically would be just to do an RFP for a service agreement for the L1 sirens and go from there. Because, as I stated, the maintenance around the areas, and you have to keep in mind also, a lot of these units are concrete poles. So, and that's my recommendation.
So your recommendation is going to be that we do a RFP and send it out on an as-needed basis, or what?
Basically a service contract, yes.
Service contract. So are you further saying that we need to disregard the contract that we currently have?
Basically, yes, sir.
Now, how do we include that? And Mr. Plant just mentioned the fact that we still have some older sirens, and we still have to have someone to go out and make sure that they're operating or when they're not operating. Do we include both that together, or would that be separate?
I would do the same contract, because whoever is awarded that contract, one thing I think you need to make sure is that they have been trained and they have a certificate or certification from federal to know how to maintain all of the equipment. The other thing that you need to remember in looking at different companies is that you also have a Motorola trunk operating system operating within the siren system that needs to be incorporated. So you need someone that knows the radio aspect of it, that knows the technical aspect of it as far as federal signal is concerned. Because the radio is probably the most subject to getting knocked out by lightning or other power surges or other damage. And that's a critical component. But if you'll remember, on the old sirens, a lot of the problem we had was a low-band operating system. The radios weren't operating. So if you don't keep the radio system operating, that Jimmy doesn't get his report that he's got a bad siren, and the sirens will not activate. Now, as far as the older sirens, and I need Jimmy or someone else that's familiar with the system, I think we're only maintaining 7 of the older sirens in the current system. Is that correct?
2001.
5. Okay.
Well, let me hope to make a suggestion so that we get with Mr. Plant and find out exactly what we need and possibly come back in the next board meeting and we'll do it all exactly what we need. Right now, I'm not a technician, so but you may know, and then come back and get a motion as to exactly what we need to go out for.
There are 5 that are now operational. There are additional 3 or 4 that also need to be included on that. Again, the older ones we're talking about.
That's what I'm
over
saying.
2001. Right.
Give us an opportunity to put all that information together, and we'll know exactly what we're going out to get.
The whole entire purpose, Mr. President, and I agree with you, is to make sure that it's important that people know that we have been transparent and that we are going to be transparent as it relates to what we're doing. And I think that it is a good suggestion that we do go ahead and go out for an RFP, and we do it at the next board meeting, and that will give us an opportunity to get this taken care of in a most expedient way by doing it that way. Mr. Plant will be able to help us, and along with him working with Mr. Lewis, they come back and make their recommendation so we can move forward.
Yeah, because other things that we need to include in any RFP, I'm adamant that every siren should be inspected every year. And not so much for maintenance, but you've got other issues. You've got the way the head is attached, the bolts still in place if they come loose, because we got to worry about winds during storms. There's just a lot of grounding systems still intact, because if it's corrupted in any way, that's going to make us more subject to lightning damage. So an annual inspection and batteries and the chargers, make sure they're not corroded. And then starting in about 4 years, you're going to have to start factoring in replacing batteries, which that should be part of the long-term contract.
Okay, Ms. Campbell.
I don't think it was cleared up whether or not we should request services. We should retain a company to provide services or request services on as needed basis.
My suggestion was to request someone, when we consider as need basis, I feel we want to get provided with the immediate services that we need. Say, for instance, you have something that goes on and you want to call a company and you need that service immediately. It might take them a month or so to do it. But I figured if we would initiate a contract, then that would give us the flexibility of having immediate services provided to us.
Okay. Okay, then.
So what they're going to do is come back
And I would hope that what the 2 of y'all would do is come back with we'll know more about what we need and come back and we can put that into the contract and go out. You put that into RFP.
No, I just have another question.
Okay, go ahead.
I just have one other question that we're finished with this particular item.
Yes, there's some other questions from board members.
I forgot to ask you earlier, did you show any damage at Lake Hyco?
The Lake Hyco area, the storm, from all indications, it blew down a tree at the power services property. But when it reached that area, the Lake Highco area, apparently the storm went up and went over it. And there was no damage there at the immediate Lake Highco Park area. It went across the street.
Other than some trees down.
Other than a few trees down. That's it. No structural damage that was indicated in the immediate Lake Highco area.
Okay.
Mr. Lewis, that was another matter I asked you to look into while Mr. Platt's here, so when you get back with the garden, please.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. You go ahead with your agenda. Thank you, Mr. Platt.
Mr. President, members of the board, the first item that I have on the agenda is an information reported to me where the city of Byron, they're requesting approval for recurring expenditures for Byron's 911 telephone line for monthly payment. As you can recall, the city of Byron submitted a request to the E911 Council several months ago, a couple of months ago. And this information was forwarded to the Board of Supervisors. And in that request, there was an approval for this request in the amount of $132,928.58 from E911 funds for different items that the city of Byron had requested. In that request, also, there was payment for E911 telephone system, AT&T monthly service charges for monthly fees and for one monthly fee, and I think it was a yearly fee included in that, if I'm not mistaken. Those funds have already been sent to the city of Byron. So basically now they're asking that the county renegotiate their contract with AT&T to include the city of Byron for 911 telephone services. And this is basically what I have here for the board.
Well, we have and I see one of the council lady here from Byron. We have somewhat a mixed emotion mixed signals from Byron as to exactly what the request is versus what the board of supervisors have issued to them. I received a call from a TV station on the weekend telling me that Byron had rejected the radios that we've ordered and decided to go another direction. Now, maybe I should ask the question: Is that a true statement?
We did order approved to pay radios this past Thursday. Yes,
In other words, you no longer want the radios that we ordered.
we have ordered radios. Is that not right, Brad?
Yes, ma'am.
The board, in the last board meeting, I believe, we had ordered 60 radios upon Bound's request. You asked,
It was 3015.
45 radios. And the board approved those radios. Those radios made it here in 4 days, and we can attest to that in 4 days. The next day after they was delivered, North Star went down and discussed with you all the installation of it, when in fact we were told that you wanted to make some changes even after the radio. Those changes came back to this board, and we made those changes. I'm not sure exactly, some of y'all may remember in the last meeting where we made all the changes that you all had requested. And the board have, at that point, given the authority to go ahead and make those changes for you all. And as soon as those changes are made, deliver them to you. So my question is, in that these radios have already been purchased by 911 funds. I guess my question is, how do you tax the taxpayers for additional radios when in fact they're already ordered, they're here, ready to be installed? We're in the process of making the changes, and I have here a chronological outline as exactly, we've done exactly what Byron wants, and we definitely want to work with City Bound. So either you, if you want to come and explain to us exactly where we are with this, we would be happy to try to accommodate you if all possible.
Mr. President, members of the board, I did not.
Go right ahead.
I'm sorry.
State your name and
I'm Tricia Crockwell, I'm the dispatch supervisor for the city of Byron. I did not come prepared to talk about radios today. That's, the chief would like all questions referred to him in reference to the radios. The only thing that I came for today was to request to be a PSAP.
okay.
So I don't have anything further with the radios to discuss. Chief Thompson was unable to be here today. And since the PSAP was the only thing that was on the agenda, he sent me to talk about it.
Well,
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion that they be approved, that the city of Byron be approved to become a PSAP.
okay.
And just for the terminology, or for the sake of terminology, it stands for Public Safety Answering Point, which actually will allow them to receive 911 calls in the city of Byron. So moved.
Okay. It's been moved, proper second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now, let me just ask on that, on the telephone and all that's related to that, have we not, before we should have, what do we do on the additional telephone line and all that they're asking, AT&T?
I have the quotes from AT&T to get all my 911 equipment in and installed on June 1st deadline. And they're willing to work with us on it, and all our interacts are set up. And Supervisor Brown was talking about our ESN, which is our emergency service number, the last meeting we were in. We have our ESN set up. Everything we've been working on since I started on December 13th, it's all ready to go. The only reoccurring charge that you're going to have is somewhere around $5,780 per month out of the 911 funds. It also pays the city of Jackson, the city of Clinton's 911 phone services. That'll be the reoccurring charges. I believe that it's $36,630 for the initial fee for the 911 services to be set up.
Now, Mr. Turkey,
Mr. President, I actually have a meeting scheduled with the attorney for the city of Byron to discuss this issue in more detail. But my understanding is with the initial request that was submitted by the city of Byron, the startup of the 911 telephone lines, in addition to 1 year of service, was already approved by the board, and those funds have been delivered to Byron. Subsequently, there was a request by AT&T to amend the contract to include the city of Byron as a contract between Hinds County and all other municipalities where the 911 telephone monthly services are taken. Now, the question I believe that needs to be answered, and hopefully Mr. Scanlon and I will have an opportunity to confirm what each governing body would like to do is whether Byron wishes to be placed on the contract like all other municipalities in the county, and have Hinds County pay the recurring service charge. Or since Byron has been given the funds already, whether they wish to establish a separate contract from Hinds County with AT&T to have their services performed. Now, my recommendation would be to have Byron be treated just like every other municipal body in that they are actually placed on the contract with Hinds County. However, since Byron has been given those funds, it would require the city of Byron to actually pay back the funds to Hinds County for those first.
And then we pay those fees. But I was of the opinion, and the reason I asked the question, I was of the opinion that they have requested something different regarding those telephone lines to be done different from the other.
No, sir, we haven't made any requests. We haven't made any requests any different than any other piece out in Hinds County. We'll be the same equipment and everything.
Respectfully, I believe the additional cost comes in where they have to start up. So there's an initial installation cost in addition to the reoccurring monthly rate. So that may be why it is.
What I'm referring to is AT&T have contacted us several times regarding it, and that was a mix-up, and that's what I wanted to make sure that we straighten that out so we can move forward with that. So what do we need to do to?
I guess we need to get confirmation from the city of Byron whether it has a desire to pay back the money that was allocated for these services.
Whichever will be easiest, we will either pay the money to AT&T for the initial. The only thing that we got from the 911 council was the first month. That was included on my paperwork, and it said recurring fee $5,000 whatever dollars, and it was actually put into the big thing that we got, the big change that we got. The initial fee is the 26, I believe, 36,000, and we will either cut a PO for that out of our funds, or we can put them back in the 911.
Yes, sir.
If I could make a suggestion, I would like to.
Okay, go right ahead.
My suggestion is that Byron will reimburse the county for those E911 fees, and then the county take the initiative to go forward with those fees and that contract.
And would that clear that up?
Yes, sir.
That AT&T is calling about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can we then, do we need to officially request that they, you will relate to Byron to reimburse the funds, and then we'll take it out of the line?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Now, go ahead.
you finish.
Well, okay. I was just still trying to make sure, how does that then, if you all are going to buy your own radios, and we have these already in stock, and we have authorized North Star to, in our last meeting, to make the changes to the radio, and all that expense is still going on. I guess my question is, what do we do from here to, if they have officially bought their own radio?
I'm not sure what the changes were that y'all said we requested, because we weren't here for the last meeting.
Byron requested, maybe I should.
They requested that 3 radios be modified for a base station. And also they requested that they install their own mobile units. And was it 3 or 2?
It was, and then 4 they requested to be converted to remote mount.
Yeah, remote mounts. Yeah. So that's basically a change order, and in that, the manufacturer stated that would be a cost, an extra cost.
And that's what I'm saying, we're
So
still
now-
incurring
Yeah.
costs.
I don't know if
Maybe
some
some
work has been done.
There has been some a level of effort. Yes, sir.
Mr. Hargrove, on those, which ones were going to be the radio consoles that we use in the dispatch center there was 3 of them that were requested in the beginning that didn't have anything changed to them. Are those 3 ones that you're talking about that were requested to have a change?
Yes, those are the 3.
Okay, so when you talked with us the last time about not getting consoles because there was not anything that would work with the system, we already made the changes then. I mean, that was months ago. That was before this was approved.
Okay, come back here. And explain exactly what was requested and what we approved.
Good morning, Mr. President, other board members. My name is Nathan Hargrove. At the March 7th board meeting was when the approval was given to purchase the 45 radios with 30 mobiles and 15 portables. The state note for all gas mount mobiles, and subsequent to that, once that was done, I had a meeting out with Chief Thompson out at Byron, and he indicated at that time that some of those radios needed to be converted because he wanted to put 3 of them in his dispatch center, and 4 of them he wanted to put in unmarked vehicles, so he wanted those converted to be remote now. As a matter of fact, as recently as last week, the week before last, we visited with the folks out in Byron so we could do a site survey. Because when you convert a radio to a control station, there's another level of effort in terms of getting it installed. We're talking about installing radio in a building now, not in a vehicle. So we went out there and walked the building and came up with an assessment on what it would take to get those radios installed in the building. So those are the things that were requested as a change at the last board meeting against the original order for the March 7th board meeting.
Now, we just voted for the PSAP. And now that they made the change and want different radios, how do we now? What does the board need to do to make sure that we're going down the right path to be able to meet our request?
Well, one of the things that immediately jumps out at me, we have been going down this path now since March the 7th. And as I indicated earlier, there's been a tremendous amount of effort expended on a lot of people's part. We prioritized this deal because Chief Thompson, in his comments, indicated that he was faced with a tight timeline. And everybody that has worked with us from that point forward prioritized this. Folks over in Director Lewis's office, they got their requisition turned around right away. We had some effort on behalf of the county attorney and her staff, as well as Ms. Davis and her staff, to prioritize this and get all the stuff lined up to make this happen as quickly as possible. So, when you look at that kind of effort and the fact that money has started to exchange hands, to me it appears that this train is a little bit far down the track to say, stop, let's bring it back, and it's a do-over. So, from my perspective, I have a purchase order from the county. I have instructions from the county. And subject to that being changed, I would propose that we continue along the track.
Okay.
Well, let me get a clear understanding here, because this is news to me this morning.
Absolutely.
Apparently, what has taken place just happened this Friday or Saturday.
I have no idea.
Because all of this information that you provided is certainly news to me. Are you saying that the city of Byron has rejected the E.F. Johnson radios that were approved by the board? And yes.
No, I have not received anything from the city of Byron indicating that they chose.
But are you saying that the city of Byron has rejected the initial purchase of radios?
No,
as speaking, my understanding is,
And purchase mobile radios.
Supervisor Smith asked the representative from Byron, have they changed? They did not deny that they had changed. The only thing they said that they had they had approved for a purchase of Motorola radios. So I don't know if they still want to accept the E.F. Johnsons or not. But in all indications, my understanding is that they said they're going to purchase radios, right, sir?
Correct. Would you come to the podium and give us exactly what is happening?
My name is Brad Davis.
Because we have not received that information other than for the media?
My name is Brett Davidson, Commander of the Fire Police Department. The chief could not make it today. He just advised me to let y'all know that he wanted any questions regarding radio system or radio purchase brought to him. I will say that for all this work that supposedly has been going on over the past month, we've not heard about it. Therefore, we felt like we needed to do what we needed to do for the citizens of Byron. And with all this work that's been supposedly going on since March 7th, we've heard, we saw Nathan stop by one time. And other than that, we've heard nothing else. We have a time deadline, and that's what we were going after. We will start June 1st, and regardless of how we get the radios, that's how we'll get it. So, other questions can be asked the chief, because that's what he asked me to do.
But there have been a vote to not use the radios that we have purchased, but to get additional radios.
Correct, because we never, once we were, y'all advised that those 40 radios to be purchased, we had one visit, that was it. And we have a time deadline. And this is something that we will get June 1st. So we've never heard another thing from the county.
Well, let me just say one thing that did happen. When the radios came in, 4 days after you all requested, is it true that Mr. Hargrove came down and you all made a different request? And once you found out that the radios were in, then you made a different request for these radios to be changed.
I will report for that question to Chief Thompson. He is the one that actually has been dealing with Nathan, and he could not make it today.
Okay, but it's a clear indication that you did know we had the radios.
No, I did not know that we had the radios. The city was not advised anything other than what
They met with the city.
When he came out and walked
and we have it here in writing. You made a request to have those radios altered. So you can't say that you didn't know.
No, we didn't say that we did not know, sir.
Okay. Mr. Did you have anything?
That's basically it. Just basically to request concerning the 911 telephone line charge. That was my request, that the board make a decision on whether they want those funds returned to the county, and then the county take the initiative to pay for the startups and the monthly service charges for the city of Byron.
So do we need a motion to?
Yes, sir. We need a motion to amend the contract with AT&T to provide 911 services for the city of Byron.
Right. Do we have a motion?
So
It's been moved. Proper second. Will you please read all of it? Make sure.
I'll just have to say it was what Ms. Martin stated.
Okay. It's been moved to proper second discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Now, I guess we still, but we won't do it today, but we have all these radios that's been offered. And what we do with them, I'm trying to figure out what do we do. Well, we have not officially received that information from you all.
But we've never received radios. You said they were
I'm sorry, say that
in. You said that they were in 4 days, but we have never received any radios. We didn't know where they were or anything about them. You know, that's...
Did you know that Mr. Hargrove went down personally and...
No, sir. I'm not involved in that with Mr. Hargrove. I've never met Mr. Hargrove. So that's between he and the chief.
Well, the chief knew.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. What?
I'm done. Thank y'all.
The final item that I have is,
Yes, sir, go
the
ahead.
final item I have, we met, the board attorney, representatives from the county, and myself. We met with a representative from Sprint Nextel, Motorola, City of Richmond, City of Madison, and I think those were all the parties. In reference to the rebranding for Hinds County. And basically they made a suggestion for the representative from Hinds County to sign off on documents when it came to the restarting up the rebranding, reconfiguration for Hinds County, and that will include the cities of Richmond and the city of Madison. Those cities initially in our meeting wanted to have their rebranding done separate from ours, but it was noted that the gentleman that was over the entire project stated that no, that was definitely not happening. We, Hinds County, is the lead participants in this rebranding. So basically, they suggested that we identify a person to be the one that will represent Hinds County through signatures when the acknowledgement forms come back for signing so that Motorola can get paid through Sprint Nextel. So I'm just making a request that I be assigned that individual to sign, be the signee for incumbent acknowledgement receipts for payments to Motorola through Sprint Nextel for the rebranding in Hinds County and Madison, City of Madison and the City of Richmond. Also keep in mind, the City of Madison and the City of Richmond will also have a representative. And that representative will forward, and I'll have to prove their approval. And they will get approval from their respective governing bodies. So I'm just basically asking to be that person from Hinds County.
I understand. I guess give me a little
Report approval.
But I guess my question is, there were a lot of debate about the payment and how and who's going to pay for the rebranding. I know you asking that you be the representative. I mean, once you become representative, then you will work out all those details of it.
The payment comes directly from Sprint Nextel. The work is done by Motorola, and we'll have to be the one to acknowledge that when the work is done or completed for Hinds County and for the city of Madison and Richmond, we have to be the one to acknowledge that these works are complete, and we will forward that information to Sprint Nextel, and they in turn will pay Motorola.
Okay. Let's play it forward. I move that we give him the authority to be our contract person to do the revamp.
Second.
It's been moved and probably second. Will you read the order?
Resolved to approve the emergency management director Jimmy Lewis to be the signee on the incumbent acknowledgement receipts for payment to Motorola through Sprint Nextel for the continuation of rebranding for Hinds County, which is the contract that includes the city of Madison and the city of Richmond.
Yes.
I just want to ask a question now. You are going to work with the board attorney as it relates to the documents because of...
Very much so.
Okay, gotcha.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I guess we will.
Mr. Lewis, before you leave, the purchase of the Ian Johnson's radio, we finished seeing how we can either utilize those radios or if it's possible for us returning those radios that have not been modified? Or if we return the radios, what will the restocking be?
All right. Of course, we have not received anything from officially from Byron,
But it's
and
obvious.
we'll have to take that up later.
I know for sure the portables, there were no modifications requested for, so on that question,
Okay.
shoot back.
Thank you. We'll go back to our bid.
And let us get an official statement from the chief, please.
Mr.
That the radios were intact, Jim.
I just also wanted to make a personal note on this as well, is that approximately a week or so after the radios were in, I personally called Chief Thompson on the phone and told him that they were in and talked directly to me.
Well, he really don't think we're in because, like I said, he communicated to us some modifications that he wanted to make on the radio once they got you. And I had that right. Okay, Mr. Tony?
All right. The bids that we read earlier on the LSBP project checked out.